Well, let's go to that first car. This is the 1957 Chevrolet Corvette owned by David Ruby. What's special about this one, Bob?
Well, it was it's what Corvette aficionados call a fuelie. It was a 283 cubic inch Chevrolet engine, and it was rated at 283 horsepower, which in non-supercharged or non-turbocharged form, it's extremely difficult to get 1 horsepower per cubic inch. But as you and I discussed earlier, Detroit was a little bit lavish in the way it calculated horsepower in those days. So even though this was advertised at 283 horsepower, the actual horsepower, if we were to measure it by today's standards, probably be about 185. Still, for its day, a tremendously fast car. And it was still the unmodified body of the first generation Corvette, pure, simple, you know, before they kind of messed it up with quad headlights and everything. This is a stunningly beautiful car. Look, original wheels, white walls, which I don't necessarily approve of on a sports car, but a lot of people ordered their Corvettes with white walls back then. So this car, as far as I can see, is totally original, and it's perfect, and it's got the right engine. So this one gladdens my heart.
Well, and as you mentioned, as to the white walls, if they ordered them, that still fits that sort of original manufacturer spec.
That's the way they were. I mean, to be honest, if I had the car, I'd probably put black tires on it, because most people did have the black tires. But no, this was a legitimate option back in those days, and people ordered them.
Well, let's learn more from the owner, David Ruby, who is in the street with Eric Gorgeous, the 1957 Chevy Corvette. Eric, to you.
Hey man, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm well. Beautiful car here.
Well, thank you. I didn't make it though. This is Chevrolet made this. I'm just a caretaker.
The caretaker.
Just a caretaker.
What year?
1957.
57.
Yes, sir.
How long have you owned it?
19 years.
19. Okay. And when you got it, what kind of condition was it in?
It was painted, but I needed rear end and clutch and generator and starter and fuel injection rebuilt. And
it needed quite a bit of work.
And the gas lines were leaking, and the brake leaks were leaking. Everything else was, but it was painted.
It was painted. It looked good, but it needed a lot of
mechanical underneath. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your favorite thing about this car?
It's hard to say.
Top 5.
Top 3. I could say it. 2 years ago, a guy from GM who was taking photographs said he hated this car.
Really?
Because all GM cars, he could take as a photographer, he could take 10 minutes and take the pictures. It took him an hour and a half to photograph this car.
Oh,
he said there are no bad lines, there are no bad angles.
It is a beautiful car.
So I don't know that I just loved it. Well, first off, it's got to have single headlights. Ones with more than that,
yep.
They're not,
It is a wonderful car.
Yeah.
My favorite feature is probably the grille. I love the grille on this car. It is just so out there.
Well, it is. I mean, the whole car just speaks to you, though, whenever you're looking at it. I mean, from the side, there are no bad angles. It's a beautiful car.
Was this a factory color?
That's a factory color. It's Venetian red.
Oh, okay.
Now, of course, my wife says it's orange. And she said, "You expect me to ride in an orange car?" And then she found out that there's only about 400 of these available, and she says, "Oh, well, maybe I won't mind." I don't mind that now.
She likes it then.
She likes it now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, have a great cruise, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for coming out.
Yes, sir.
All right, Fred, let's see what's next, man.
All right, Eric, thank you. Bob, that was the 57 Chevy Corvette. You know, it also has a very rare power-operated convertible top.
That, I didn't even know that was offered back then. I thought they were all manual.
Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, as we go through the cars, you know, whether you're talking about the convertible top or this fuel injection, you mentioned that. That made it special as well.
Early Rochester fuel injection. And I think you could legitimately claim that Corvette plus the Mercedes Gullwing were the only fuel-injected cars on the market back then.
Of that era.
Yeah.
And so, and obviously that took off.
Well, it was more expensive at first, and at first the fuel injection systems were somewhat delicate, but they very quickly became far more reliable than carburetors. And nowadays, you can't even meet fuel economy and emissions regulations with a carburetor anymore. You need fuel injection has come a long way.